Good morning, students. So it is Tuesday, and this is your math assignment. So after you do your review exercises and speed drills as usual, we will be going down to dividing two digits again. The only difference between this page and yesterday's page is that instead of digits in the tens place, like 20, 30, 40, 50, you have a couple of random numbers. But the process that you do your math problems has not changed. So you're still doing, for example, for sample 1, 21 into 43, just like you would do 20 into 43 for yesterday's assignment. So we're going to do the two samples together just to make sure and to reinforce. And it looks like everyone had an okay time yesterday doing their long division with two-digit numbers. But of course, if you need help, I am available. So let's just practice these two samples. So today we have 21 into 43. And sometimes when we have random numbers instead of numbers in the tens place, it can be a little bit more challenging, but it's still the same. So just like yesterday, we determined how many times does 21 fit into 43, and we know for sure that it fits in one time because 21 is smaller than 43. But does it fit in two times? So I like to just add on the side. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. We have 42. Yes. So it does fit into 43 two times. Very close, but it does. So we would put 2 here. Of course, remember in the second place, in the ones place. So, and then 21 times 2 is 42. We just did it right here. So we would put 42 here, and then 3 minus 2 is 1. So we have 2 remainder 1 for our first sample. And then for sample 2, we have 43 into 87. And of course, we know that 43 fits into 87 once. Let's see if it fits in twice. Yep, it does. It's close, but it does. So 43 fits into 87 two times, and 43 times 2 is 86, as we see here. 7 minus 6 is 1. 8 minus 8 is 0. So we have 2 remainder 1 again. So just follow the same process. If you need a few more examples, you can go back to yesterday's video to take a look at other two-digit divisors, but it's the same process. Remember to use your long division rules. Here for your language arts assignment for Tuesday, we have proper nouns with a capital P, and by now we probably all know what proper nouns are, which are the names of nouns. So the official meaning is a proper noun names a special person, place, or thing and always begins with a capital letter. Many proper nouns are also compound nouns. A common noun, these are the nouns we're much more used to seeing. They name a person, place, thing, or idea, but does not say which particular one. It does not begin with a capital letter unless it is the first word in the sentence. So over here we have a few examples of common nouns and proper nouns. So common, we have pet, relative, state. And then for proper, it's more specific and it names the person, place, or thing. So Morris, Uncle Mark, Texas. So notice how they're more specific, they name it, and they're all capital letters. So for think A, you're going to match each common noun with an appropriate proper noun by writing its letter in the blank. So this should be pretty easy. What you're going to do is just read the common noun and then decide which of these proper nouns match. What I like to do is, if I find one that I'm not sure about, I'll skip it, do the others, and sometimes you're left with just one or two and you can figure it out at the end. So if you don't know one right off the bat, like for example, number 1 is book, and if you're not actually sure, if or which of these are the names of books, then you can just skip it. But for the purpose of practicing, I will give you the first name. So for number 1 book, the name of a book here is Huckleberry Finn. So I would put B here next to book. So then you would do which of these proper nouns is a song, disciple, day, city, girl, river, month. And of course, if you need help, I will be more than happy to help you today at 11. So then here, a common or a proper noun which ends in S no longer acts as a noun and cannot be the subject of a sentence. So there's a little trick here, but we're going to see it right now. My sister's friend will visit on Saturday. So what this means is normally the word sister would be a noun. But when you're talking about something that belongs to a noun, so you're adding an S, like sisters has an S here. Down here, Tom's has an apostrophe S here. Then it is no longer a noun. So for think B, you're going to write a proper noun for each of these common nouns and be ready to give your teacher sentences for your proper nouns. Okay, so you don't have to be ready to give your teacher sentences because obviously I can't be there. So what you're going to do is just give a proper noun and write it, and that's going to be good enough. So let's just do an example. So for number 1, we have a common noun, country. So all you would have to do is name a specific country, and of course, make sure that it's capitalized. So if I wanted to write Italy, then I would just make sure I have a capital I, and that is my proper noun. And you will do the same thing with each of these. A specific school, make sure it's capitalized. A specific automobile, continent, street, church, teacher, language. Don't forget to capitalize. And here for your spelling, as you know, we are on lesson 6, which is reviewing lists 1 through 5. So for our first exercise here for Tuesday on page 22, we're going to do this top section, this crossword puzzle, using specifically list 2 and 3, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So this page will focus on these lists that we've already learned. So here up top we have a crossword puzzle, and sometimes they can be intimidating, but as long as you do them one by one and skip the ones that you're not sure about and go back, you will notice that they're not actually that hard. So let's just do one just for practice, but you're using only this list. So let's start with one of the down words. So for number 1, we are going to name the plural of detail, and we all know what plural means. It just means more than one. So what would the plural of details be? Or detail, I just said it, details. So we would go details. And of course, you would write in pencil, because if you get the word wrong, you are going to need to erase it, which is for the purpose of you seeing an example. So then we can either go down again, or we can go across, however you feel comfortable. If I already have a word down, then I like to use one of the words that already has a letter in it because there's a hint there. So I would like to go from 1 to 7 across. So let's see what 7 across is. So this one says paid in advance. Now right away, you might not know what that word could possibly be. But remember that we have a bunch of words here. A key. So if we were to go through each of these words, we would find the word prepaid. And prepaid has E for the third letter. So that makes perfect sense. Paying in advance, prepaid. So if you get confused, 2 hints. Skip it and go on to another word. And make sure that you're focusing on your list and cross them out so that you do not get confused later. Then here on the bottom we have just naming which of the spellings are correct and incorrect. So this section on the bottom is going to be pretty easy because you're just going to read the word and decide whether it is spelled correctly based on your list. So for example, for number 12 here, we have money, but it is spelled M-U-N-E-Y. And that is not correct because money, as we see here, is spelled M-O-N-E-Y. So we would write or fill in incorrect and then write it correctly. So make sure you're writing it correctly, not just filling it in. And then when you find a correct word, you fill in correct and you also write it because it's going to help you memorize the spelling. So all of these lines should be filled with these list words. So even if they're right, fill them in. And don't just guess. If you notice a word that you're not quite sure but you think it's right, the words are right next to it. So make sure that you are checking back and forth. And just a little reading reminder, so if you were on Zoom yesterday listening to the read along, you know that we did chapter 5 only because it was a little bit longer than we expected. So today, Tuesday, will be chapter 6 read along, and I would love if you could make it. And if you can't, I will be uploading the audio as usual. But remember that you have your assignments that go along with chapters 5 and 6 for the book. And I will see you then. And on Wednesday, we will complete the week's chapters with chapter 7. So we will be able to do 3 chapters this week from our book.